The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Here we go, exciting welterweight action on tap in just a moment. And
Joe, wait, I just checked Twitter. Ashton Day is trending, and he's also on tout.
Great, he can be on Cambodian tout all day long, and I'm going to call a welterweight match. Is that okay? A man who's had a change of heart from when he was last in the welterweight mix. Well, that gentleman's sign certainly sums up the attitude that Sonny Vice has had as of late. Blasting Andrew Palace in the skull with a chair, trying to take his spot instead of earn it.
See, he shook a hand. He's a nice guy-ish.
Guys, just hear me out for a second, all right? This is tough. It's been brought to my attention that the message I've been trying to portray hasn't been coming across the way I'd like it to. And I deserve that. In my absence, when I won the 2 national titles and showed that pro wrestlers don't deserve the bad rap that they get in combat sports, I saw Andrew Palace getting all these title shots and winning all these awards that you got voted on, and it just struck a nerve. I felt like you guys forgot me, and in my anger, I lost sight of who I was. I mean, I hit Andrew with a steel chair.
Thank you.
No, that was not good. I called in reinforcement from my buddy Wardlow. And, looking back at it, Andrew doesn't need anybody to win a match. He doesn't need any help. So tonight I'm going to prove to you guys that I'm still the man. I'm the most legitimate guy in pro wrestling. And by doing that, I'm going to have a guy who hasn't been pinned over a year from here. And I'm going to beat him with no tricks, no help, just some good old-fashioned wrestling. So, Ace Perry, come on out now, because you're good, but you're just not my level.
Well then,
So maybe a dose of humility from Sonny Vice.
certainly not expected, but certainly going to be one hell of a matchup.
Well, welterweight wrestling was always about the spirit of competition, BC. It was always about the young, overlooked athletes showing what they're capable of. Sonny Vice certainly feels overlooked. Maybe a resurgence in the welterweight division is just what he needed.
Well, sometimes your anger gets the best of you. Some Ace Perry would know about as well.
Certainly true. And you talk about that anger, BC. I'm happy you brought that up because Ace Perry has been a bit more despondent and a bit more upset as of late. He had a welterweight championship match scheduled earlier this summer that unfortunately needed to be postponed. And Ace Perry's coming out with a lot more attitude. And Ace Perry, I think in his mindset, he feels like, man, he's ready to go as far as selling his soul to get what he feels he deserves, because Perry's done all the right things and it hasn't exactly paid off. And now Ace Perry explodes.
Well, Ace Perry fell off the mountain. And not only did he fall off the mountain, but he's tumbled all the way down. So certainly he has right to be upset.
Well, I mean, Ace Perry is still near the top of that mountain. He's still recognized #1 contender. But Perry exploding with drop kicks and a suicide dive, in with a senton. Perry is going a mile a minute from Jump Street trying to put away Sonny Vice, but he can't. And that is the action. That is the body language of a man that has had a lot of pent-up frustration and has had Dylan Bostic on his mind consistently for, let's be honest, especially the past 8 weeks, but really the past year.
Well, certainly Ace Perry now is near the top, but he's not at that very top, and that's where he wants to be. But we saw his issues with Dylan Bostic. We know of his issues that he had with Nate Wings. That friendship may be beyond repair, but certainly just kind of get where he wanted to be. And I'm a little bit confused, to be honest, by Sonny Vice. I mean, I thought we had seen a different light. said he was talking about didn't enjoy the fans' voting awards and the results of that, and maybe it got a little bit too much to him.
Yeah, and we'll see if Sonny Vice can defeat Ace Perry one-on-one like he promised to do. But now it's Vice the aggressor. Both men have come out very, very aggressive. And we talked about the fact Ace Perry, he has been on top and the bottom of that mountain, everywhere in between, but Perry hits the rail hard. Here's something to keep in mind, BC. Ever since Ace Perry lost that welterweight championship matchup a year ago, Ace Perry has not lost a matchup in this building. Perry's been undefeated on the Premier brand for over a year at this point.
But Joe, let me ask you a question. So Ace Perry's been undefeated, correct? Do I see any gold around his waist? Do I see any over his shoulder?
No, you don't, unfortunately, but that's not Ace Perry's fault. Let's check this out. Suplex on the floor.
Boy, one of us is an Ace Perry apologist.
And this is not the standard welterweight type matchup we're used to seeing. Both these men are being very, very physical.
Well, it's like I said, both men at a crossroads. Both men can really pick the road that they're going to go down.
Now, wait a minute. Sonny Vice is trying to win this via count out, and Ace Perry's halfway to the back of the building. Well, we're already at 4.
Maybe that's the new leaf, or old leaf, or a different leaf on the tree. That he's not just going to...
Well, Ace Perry's got about 3.5 seconds to get back to the ring, or else this match is over, and Perry is just scrambling however he can. We're at 8. We're at 9. Perry's got 1 second. He's almost there. Ace Perry in the nick of time back in the ring.
Well, that might have been 9.99 if it was anything.
But to finish my point earlier, Ace Perry earned a championship match. He still is entitled to a championship match. There were some logistics that prevented that matchup from happening. There were no fault of Ace Perry's. I wouldn't be surprised if they were the fault of Dylan Bostic's.
Well, I don't think Dylan Bostic's the kind of guy that would hoodwink.
Oh, you've never met him, I can tell, or at least talked to him. As Sonny Vice punishing Perry center of the ring. What has Vice shown you in this matchup so far?
Well, so far it seems to be that his actions have matched his words thus far. A little bit shocking. We know the issues that he's had recently. We know the page that he's turned, but you can always go home, I guess they say, and maybe that's what we're going to see here. For Ace Perry, I will say something that he's shown me is he's shown a little bit more of an aggressive streak, something that I think has always been inside of him. We know that his frustrations, certainly not only not having the welterweight championship, but think about who has it. Dylan Bostic, a man he knows very well, a man he's had a rivalry, easy for me to say, with since day one.
Yeah, they've hated one another since Perry started, and Perry was a teenager, and Dylan was in his early 20s. As Perry gets the elbow up, has created some distance between he and Vice. Well, Vice has Perry hung up. Vice likes to go German suplex. Perry not going to wait around and let it happen. And we are certainly seeing two different sides, two well-established personalities. Ace daring Sonny to come in. Face first on the buckle, the thrust kick to the back of the head. Ace Perry needs some momentum when we get a date on that Bostic title match. That Iron Man match that was scheduled. Perry's going to want to be at the top of his game. Vice, who just barely kicked out, is going to want to be at the top of his game. Hey, he spoke the truth. 2-time national champion in martial arts outside of pro wrestling when he was out of Premier for 6 months. Vice did amazing things. He was at the top of his game, but he's not in line for a Premier opportunity yet.
Well, maybe we can revisit that after this match for both men as far as where their careers would go.
And here comes Perry taking a chance. Perry's well at home on top. Vice charges through.
The thing that's unique about Ace Perry, we just saw him. He jumped, but in midair he knew, I don't really have it yet, that Sonny Vice was going to move, and that's exactly what happened.
Second attempt, snapped off that German suplex that time. Such unique offense by Sonny Vice.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
And now Vice takes a chance. Diving headbutt connects. And I'll admit, we're seeing a lot of glimpses of that old Sonny Vice, the former Premier champion Sonny Vice. Could it be? I'll know. Great athletic contest thus far, what you say?
Well, absolutely. The thing about Sonny Vice, maybe, when you go to that quote-unquote dark side, if you will, sometimes that grass isn't greener when you're there. Sometimes it looks a little bit different. Maybe one of those things you're like, I wonder what it's like. And sometimes you try it for a day or a week. Sometimes you lose yourself in it, and maybe Sonny Vice just doesn't have that.
And Ace Perry caught Sonny high as Vice went to take a chance once again. Can Vice make amends for his prior actions? This is such an important matchup when you're thinking momentum, when you're thinking career placement.
Joe, do you think Andrew Palace would accept Sonny Vice's, I don't know if I'd call that an apology, but a change of heart maybe?
Well, I think that's a hell of a question. We'll have to answer if Vice can escape this unscathed. A Perry superplex was countered, and Vice buckle bomb connects. And Vice down the modified takedown, head first the Shining Wizard. Perry could be down. Huge victory for Sonny Vice, 2.5. What a battle we are seeing.
Well, still seeing a little bit of frustration from Sonny Vice. I think Sonny Vice just had a moment of almost clarity of, okay, I know what I got to do next.
Well, we'll see if it's enough. And Perry to his feet and snaps off a superplex like it was nothing. Hangs on. And Vice driven back of the neck first. Perry loves to string together this offense. He loves these combos, the double stomp. Ace Perry stacks him up, but not enough.
Sonny Vice showing the resiliency that certainly he's been famous for. That's what made him premier champion.
And Ace Perry in shock that wasn't enough, but Vice certainly the worse for wear. After that particular altercation.
Both men showing their frustration at various points.
And Vice wants a breather. And I don't blame him.
Well, I was going to say, you may not like it, but that's a smart move. Ace Perry, you mentioned stringing that offense together. Once he gets going, it's hard to stop him.
And Ace Perry giving chase. Is Vice looking to leave or looking to get a breather? I'm not sure. Vice back in. Oh, come on now.
Well, it's sometimes hard to change.
So much for turning over a new leaf.
Oh, he just turned over Ace Perry's leaves right there.
Yeah, Vice saw an opening and couldn't help himself but take it.
Well, what's wrong with that? You mentioned the stakes are high.
What's wrong with kicking a guy in the groin, really?
Well, have you ever done it? It's very effective.
Oh, Perry caught Vice right in the nose. Up and over, switches directions, handspring, Vice out of the way, Matrix counter, Perry looking for the cutter, Vice pushes away. And Perry responds with a suplex of his own, right to the side of the jaw with a kick.
But it just took Sonny Vice outside.
And Ace Perry dives to the outside. He landed hard. I'm not sure who got the worst of it.
No, he might have glanced. Sonny Vice got enough to take him down, but I think Ace Perry certainly took the brunt of that dive.
Perry landed with a thud. I believe Vice is favoring his knee. The official checking on both athletes.
We may need to make a referee decision right now.
Well, we have additional help watching over the situation. Vice favoring that knee. Wait a minute! That's Wardlow. I thought for a second he was going to check on Vice, but he just nailed Perry from behind. Ace Perry never saw it coming.
Well, Sonny Vice is getting his stretched out.
Come on. The other official chasing after Wardlow. Vice keeping the official that matters at bay. McCoy, the assigned referee. Perry got his head clocked off the post. He has no idea where he is. And Vice hits the Shining Wizard. And welterweight matches generally aren't won this way, but Sonny Vice could care less.
Here is your winner, Sonny Vice.
Joe, do we know for a fact that Sonny Vice knew Wardlow came out there?
Oh, what do you think?
I mean, he was getting his hamstring meniscus.
Well, his knee
checked.
looks fine now, doesn't it?
Well, It's a miracle.
Wasn't that diversion a little convenient?
I mean, referee Joey Redhead, miracle job there with...
all after saying, oh, I'm Sonny Vice, I'm going to turn over a new leaf. I want to be like Andrew Powell because he can win on his own.
Well, hey, to every season, turn, there is a reason, turn. And then you spit up the sign. I think that's in the song, too. Spit up the sign, rip up the sign, whatever.
Sonny Vice hadn't proven a thing to me, and I'm sure he hasn't proven a thing to Andrew Palace either.